The following is a presentation of TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour, with your host, David White. Now, the author of The Path of Least Resistance and The Tech Insider, David White.
And welcome, people. It is a beautiful day out there. It is Thursday, October 25th, at the headquarters of Technical Trading and Investing, TFNN.com. And we've got just a gorgeous day going on out here. Let's see if we got, we have everything else going on. Just wanted to make sure I had my IVGA up so everybody could see everything on the TFNN website. So if they nod, I'll know. If they mumble, I can't tell. Anyway, it is National Chucky Day, the Notorious Killer Doll Day, October 25th, kind of probably in the right month, and it should look good. We've got, we should have everything in the den and everything up looking good. But it is National Chucky Day, the Notorious Killer Doll. I had a senator when I lived before, and if you kind of squinted, she looked exactly like the doll minus the little cuts and everything. Kind of looked like the Chucky doll before he got all messed up. But if you kind of squinted, I always thought that's what she looked like. But I don't know. She's probably one of the most vulnerable seats this year for re-election, but who knows? Anyway, National Chucky Day. Notorious Killer Doll Day, and of course we're going to be doing on Halloween I don't know if it's the Night of the Living Dead. How about the zombie stocks? We'll be going through those and the ones that are out there, but that are barely alive but still moving. Kind of stocks like Best Buy and Radio Shack and a lot of these other ones that are out there. But I don't know, that Chucky doll. Why, for some reason, those little dolls that always seem to move around, or ventriloquist dolls, they're kind of always like evil. I remember there was a kind of a scary movie back around 1980 with a guy that was Hannibal Lecter. He had a real scary, ventriloquist doll that followed everybody around. I don't remember the name of the movie, but pretty scary stuff. But anyway, we've got a little bit to look forward to. Of course, Halloween, the second biggest money spent in the United States for a holiday. So kind of interesting to see what's going on out there. And we get to the news. Of course, everybody here in Tampa can sleep finally because the mystery monkey got caught. For you people that don't live in this area, we've had a wild monkey on the lam for about 2 years here. Finally bit a lady about 2 weeks ago, and the hunt was on. He was on the most wanted list, and they finally caught him, shot him with a little dart, taking him back to his cage. But the mystery monkey is gone, and everybody's happy about that. He's been running around all over St. Pete. I think he used to be up here in Tampa, but he found his way back into it, and everybody, I guess it's on some of the national news feeds. They've called him the mystery monkey. But I don't know what's, other than he started biting people, I think they probably would have left him alone. But just wondering what that lady did to make him bite him, or bite her. Anyway, he had his own Facebook page. But they actually hired a guy that was almost like in Jaws to go out and hunt him. He was apparently a monkey hunter, but no word whether or not he was the guy that actually got him. Anyway, and if you're in Florida, of course, or all the way up into the east coast of the United States, Hurricane Sandy's coming for you. It knows where you live. It knows whether you've been good or bad, and it's going to be a Cat 2 hurricane. Pretty much, I think, tomorrow as it enters the Miami area, and probably as we go through, it's supposed to hit right about pretty much the probably Boston area around Halloween, and kind of be wet and rainy for you guys on the eastern seaboard. Hopefully, it doesn't take a turn this way, but I imagine we're going to get some rain down here. But you could could intensify, but everybody's keeping an eye on it. Just to always remember when these things come that it can affect the markets in some way. Apple earnings are out tonight. Kind of really tough to see as an individual what is going on. I suspect that the powers that be on the street have paid off all the people that they need to at Foxconn, and they know exactly how much they've shipped. And for the most part, we probably are somewhere around where the stock is going to trade out after earnings tonight. I imagine they're going to pop this thing 10 or 15 bucks. Trading out at 610 right now. 622 is resistance on Apple. But normally they've always will try to talk everybody down for numbers. And we talked about it long before they started shipping the iPhone 5. And that was that they had production problems with going with Sharp and LG for making some of the displays in those iPhone 5s. In fact, there were some rumors yesterday floating around about not Sharp, Samsung not delivering some of the displays for the iPads to Apple as kind of retaliation. Samsung says it is not true at all, but that continues to get stickier and stickier. The plot thickens, as they say. Let's see if I wanted to get back here and just take a quick look at the markets. We've got 1422, which is fairly much resistance. I put that in my newsletter last night. I think I said something about it on the show. 1408 is support. We got down as low as 1405 on the S&P today. I suspect if we're going to probably do some kind of equivalent of what we did yesterday, which is if this thing can't get moving, we're going to fade into the close. Somewhere around 1408 is support. If we break, we'll probably go down to something like 1403. I suspect that we'll see something like 1395 tomorrow as we go into the close if they can't get anything going in this market. I suspect that Apple, for the most part, is going to be flat to a little bit up. And the rest of them is kind of tough, but I think Apple was probably probably good enough to shove a little bit of the earnings out of the last quarter into this recording quarter, and they'll be able to smooth them out. Almost all the big companies do, so there aren't any big surprises, but. We're going to continue to see that. Volume is a little bit better than it has been this week. We're coming up with about 2.2 billion shares on the consolidated New York Stock Exchange tape. As always, for new listeners, I remind them that you need to know what the volume is you're talking about. Does it include just the floor-traded volume? Normally at the 4 to 6 hour, Tom O'Brien gets the quotes, and that is floor-traded only. But there's lots of electronic ECN networks that trade stocks for about a fourth of the cost of trading them on the New York Stock Exchange. I use the total numbers. It's a big enough sample that it's not going to matter. If you sell something somewhere on one of the ECNs, it's going to cause a ripple effect back to the New York Stock Exchange. And if it's sold on the New York Stock Exchange, it's going to have a nice ripple. Kind of the equivalent if they ask about 1,500 people or 1,600 people who they're going to vote for president, they're going to have a fairly decent margin of error, plus or minus 2 points. Pretty much the exact same thing. You're looking at a big enough sample size in the New York Stock Exchange that it's going to be fairly close to exactly what the consolidated tape is. But we have to look and know that for the most part now, only about 25% of the shares are traded on the New York Stock Exchange. When we had our guest on that was talking about being on the New York Stock Exchange floor, and the last time he'd been there was about 4 years ago, he said basically it's a ghost town. Everybody on the CNBC staff basically threw daggers at the guys with their eyes. They didn't want the truth of the matter being that almost nothing trades on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. It's all out in New Jersey in a big farm of computers in a secure location, as they like to say. But Apple earnings out tonight. They are shipping today the adapters, so you can hook your iPad up to HDMI inputs on your HD TV, and there's some other connector on it. But of course, all the new connectors on the new iPads are going to be these Lightning connectors, and they've had problems getting the chargers and some of the other connectors out. A couple companies have hacked that new connector and the chip in that connector, and they're starting to roll out third-party connectors for that fairly soon. Look for a lot of long on the bull. The one thing I always hate about companies, and you can see it in the performance of Microsoft over the last 10 years, was pretty much that CFOs, or Chief Financial Officers, rarely make great CEOs of technical companies. They are, by nature, too cautious, kind of like having a general. I can remember in the Civil War, I think it was McClellan, finally got fired because he wouldn't do anything. And that brought us Grant, who actually did do something. So it is something. Yeah, bean counters is our wonderful Steve, the producer and control board operator. Why don't you call him up and give him a dirty phone call at 877-927-6648. He looks bored in there. I always feel kind of like a little bit of a guy in an aquarium here. We can see people through the glass out there. AMD has started its circular firing squad and continuing to fire a lot of people. We saw that's not anything new. We've seen several of these companies, but they're continuing to do it. The chief executive officer, Rory Reid, is firing workers to pay expenses. The chip maker sales continue to slide. We talked about this being a huge problem when they couldn't make the same die size as Intel. I actually thought that they had a good chance of going and making something of themselves, and bought them in my Tech Insider newsletter, and pretty much promptly sold them a couple of months later when we found out that at least most of their server chips couldn't get to the die size as necessary. If you haven't listened to this show very long, being able to make things smaller and smaller means that you get to make them pretty much use a whole lot less power. If you can go to what's known as 28 nanometer, which is pretty much everything out there except what Intel makes, the current Core 2 chips are down to 22 nanometers in some parts of the shipping Intel i7s and i5s. Just every time you reduce the amount of distance that a chip has to move things, you can make it faster. You also use the are making the chip use a whole lot less power. Every time you make one of those transitions from like 28 to 22 nanometers, you're normally getting a power savings of about 25%. Intel is going to start shipping 14 nanometer chips next year, and if you can't keep up, you're going to die off. AMD's having a real problem. We will be back in a minute, continue our news. Give me a call, 877-927-6648.
What type of investor are you? Conservative, moderate, or aggressive? No matter your investor personality, your overall portfolio should reflect your financial goals, time horizon, and your risk tolerance. Help ensure your portfolio is appropriately invested with an asset allocation plan from Morgan Stanley Wealth Management. Simply picking the right stocks is not enough. Research has shown that choosing the right proportions of stocks, bonds, and cash is essential to the success of your long-term investments. Morgan Stanley believes a carefully selected portfolio can lower volatility and increase investment return potential. Find out about what an asset allocation and a Morgan Stanley Wealth Management financial advisor can do for you. Call Angela O'Brien, First Vice President and Financial Planner of the Clearwater, Florida branch at 727-441-6108 today to discuss your personal financial needs. Asset allocation does not assure a profit or protect against loss in declining financial markets. Investments and services are offered through Morgan Stanley Wealth Management, LLC. Member SIPC.
with the launch of Tiger TV. TFNN has brought our programming to the next level. With Tiger TV, you can gain access to each host's charts and computer screens as they host their daily stock program. Whether it's Tom O'Brien, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Ken Shreve, David White, Larry Pesavento, Victor Jones, or Carol Martin, you can catch all of our technicians hosting their programs live and archived on Tiger TV for your viewing pleasure 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you haven't checked out Tiger TV, then visit TFNN.com and see what you're missing.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investment strategy. You're always looking for the next trading opportunity to magnify your perspective. Direction Shares connects sophisticated traders with a powerful array of ETFs from a wide range of asset classes. The markets may go up and down, and you want tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
Millionaires are made every day. The fact is, living your dreams is possible. Someone, somewhere is going to get rich. My recommendation is, let that be you. Each day, someone is making the decision to better themselves and creating a plan to fulfill their financial dreams. Let that be you. The key to turning dreams into reality is to take massive action. Let that be you. I'm Steve Rhodes, co-host of the Money Master Show with Tom O'Brien, seen daily at TFNN, and I can help you with your journey to great wealth. I'll show you how to create the ultimate financial edge, a set of tools, insights, and strategies that are part of my daily newsletter service, Mastering Probability. You'll have direct access to me by phone, email, and my private library of trading and investing secrets for 30 days with an unconditional money-back guarantee. I'll take your trading to the next level. Click on my name, Steve Rhodes, on the homepage at TFNN.com and turn your dreams into reality. Mastering Probability, folks. Let that be you.
This segment is brought to you by Goldfields. For more information, just click the Goldfields banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
We were talking about AMD when we were so wonderfully interrupted by our commercial break, which is nice because it gives me a chance to have a drink and everything else while you guys listen to our wonderful commercials out there. But AMD, the cash declined to $1.5 billion in the third quarter, shedding about $279 million from the previous period. And yeah, I have a feeling that we're probably looking at a few things. I'm going to look at ARMS Holdings later. But one of the things we should know, especially in this whole area, you would think that if Apple was going to buy somebody, it'd probably be buying AMD or ARMS Holding or somebody. It doesn't look like they're going to do that. We talked about it 3-4 months ago. They've hired 1,000 engineers and chip design engineers. And right now they're doing a little bit of work off of ARMS Holdings. But I wouldn't be surprised to see one day where they are not using ARM Holdings designs anymore in an effort to differentiate themselves from other people, other manufacturers. I would be watching very closely. They've only had 3 or 6 months or whatever to hire these engineers. It's probably going to be a good year into it, but one thing you want to be watching is whether or not Apple decides and some of these other guys decide to branch off and quit using ARMS Holdings as they all strive for better manufacturing and differentiation between them and other manufacturers. But AMD is probably going to get to a point where someone's going to want to buy it out. But I think right now they have to at least get rid of some of the hemorrhaging out here and become a little bit stable. Good design engineer company. Could we see somebody like Microsoft go in and buy them? Probably the company that hates AMD doing poorly is Intel, because, of course, without AMD, they probably are going to face some kind of scrutiny about restraint of trade. So we'll have to watch that. And again, you can give me a call at 877-927-6648, 877-927-6648. We can discuss your particular stock. We're watching, pretty much waiting, I would imagine, for Amazon and Apple after the bell. We're going to look at the supply chain of Apple and see if we can get anything on that after the bottom of the hour. But it's going to be interesting. Apple and Samsung's patent war continues to heat up. Apple got a loss in the Dutch courts who says that it does not infringe on Apple's multi-touch patent. In the United States, Apple's got a little bit of a problem in that they forgot to provide previous art that kills 4 out of the 6 patents that they had upheld in the California case. The judge is not very happy, and I would probably be firing my lawyers if I was Samsung because I didn't bring it up. But it looks like the U.S. Patent Office has gone out and is invalidating some of the other patents based on this previous art now also. I suspect that Apple is going to rue, I always like that day, rue, or that word, rue, the day that they got involved in these patent wars. The judge is basically pounding her gavel and saying, I told you guys to settle this before we got to this, and you better settle it now. So I have a feeling that if you do something like not producing previous art, even though the responsibility is for the defense to do so, these judges look. One of the probably the worst thing you can do, other than outright lying, is hiding some of the stuff in this, and that they didn't bring it up. Judge is pretty mad at them yesterday, but I suspect that for all the beliefs that Apple had protection from a lot of this third-party Google, Microsoft companies coming in and making tablets. I think probably within the next 6-9 months, we're going to see this all just wash away, and the belief that there is a fortress Apple with patents that can actually defend them is probably going to fade fade far away. Let's see what else we have. Yeah, we already brought that up. Samsung has refuted the report that says it will not sell LCD panels to Apple, although I suspect Apple wants to wean themselves away from somebody that they've declared war on. Google gets political. Google this week disclosed it spent $4.18 million in U.S. lobbying in the third quarter of 2017. That puts them in on the about number 7 for companies or groups that are out there spending money lobbying Congress. I've got a full list here. We'll talk a little bit about it when we come back. But why is Google doing this? I think that they learned the lessons that Microsoft did not learn early. We'll talk about that when we come back.
You've heard Tom O'Brien on the air, and you've seen him on Tiger TV, as well as being featured as a regular CNBC guest and contributor, and now you can have access to his expert trading advice each morning through his daily trading newsletter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, gives traders, investors, and money managers a thorough strategy for trading stocks, options, and indices every market day. Market Insights comes out each market day before 9:30 a.m. and provides provides traders with Tom's daily commentary, opinion, and specific trade recommendations on the markets. Using advanced Fibonacci methods, volume indicators, Gartley patterns, candlestick charting, gaps, and market timing, Market Insights will give you specific trade recommendations including entry, stop, and exit prices. The summer is over and traders are back. Get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. If you're an investor looking for a great weekly investment newsletter, then now is the perfect time to try out Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks. Every Tuesday, Ken breaks down multiple sectors in his weekly newsletter, Ultimate Growth Stocks, with a full in-depth report including specific trading recommendations within his model portfolio, charts, sector analysis, upcoming economic data, along with intra-week trading updates on newsletter positions whenever the market dictates. Right now, you can receive a full month, that's 30 days, to evaluate Ken's newsletter free of charge to see if it fits your trading plan. At less than $75 per month, Ken provides you with his expert trading advice that can pay for itself in no time. Take advantage of this great offer by signing up for a 30-day free trial to Ken Shreve's Ultimate Growth Stocks today. Don't let this offer pass you by. Visit the front page of TFNN.com and sign up now. TFNN and Great Panther Silver have teamed up for another exciting silver giveaway. The Great Panther Silver Halloween giveaway will be taking place at the end of October, and for 3 full days, we'll be giving away silver coins and bars every hour from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. to one lucky winner randomly chosen. There's no purchase necessary. For more information and to fill out your registration form today, simply visit the front page of TFNN.com where you'll find all the details. October 29th, 30th, and 31st, we'll choose one lucky winner that will receive a silver coin or bar courtesy of Great Panther Silver. Winners will be announced live on the air each hour for 3 full days. Don't miss out on this great opportunity to win free silver from TFNN and Great Panther Silver. Register today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com, and for more information on Great Panther Silver, you can click on their banner on the front page of TFNN.com or check them out on the NYSE Amex, symbol GPL, or on the Toronto Stock Exchange, symbol GPR. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Crocodile Gold. For more information, just click the Crocodile Gold banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
We've got a nice chart up here of all the biggest entities involved in doing lobbying, I guess, and the money they've spent on it. Kind of interesting. U.S. Chamber of Commerce is the #1 group. National Association of Realtors by fourth or third? A little more than a third, a little less than a fourth. Comes in second. Blue Cross Blue Shield, $11 million over the last quarter. General Electric, $11 million. AT&T, $10 million. Pharmaceutical Research affiliates, $10 million. Google, just under $10 million. Hospital associations, $9 million. I guess there's two different. Medical Association, $9 million. Cable operators, $8.8 million. Northrop Grumman, $8.6 million. Comcast, $8.8 million. Verizon Communications, $8.5 million. For a long time, almost everybody in the electronics field stayed out of the political lobbying part. And, some of the broadcasters actually got involved in it. But the 96 election came, and basically there was a move afoot by politicians at that time in office coming into the election saying, if you don't cough up, we'll make it painful for you. And they went after Microsoft right then, which started a lot of the basically extortion from American companies. So a lot of these companies have got out in front of it, and they're basically spending money during these elections so that they don't get hassled by the man and brought under, either lawsuits or restraint of trade lawsuits also. But, I mean, we saw basically Microsoft under 10 years because Bill Gates wouldn't get out there in front of these politicians and take care of them, pay them off. I think a lot of these companies have wised up and know that it's just part of doing business. It's become corrupt, but it's become corrupt for a reason, and that is you have to make sure and take care of the politicians, or they will come after you. I think we've seen a little bit of that with Google, and they're pretty smart out here looking and checking out, making sure they're paying the money to make sure that they don't get that antitrust and trying to split them up kind of deal going on. Let's see what else is going on here. That's pretty much the news. I wanted to get right into ARMS Holdings and some of the, especially since a lot's going to depend on what Apple's earnings are like out here tonight. We're going to check and see what they look like. ARMS Holdings is right up here at the top. You want to be looking at the highest volume to the left on these charts, and it's February 14th on our ARMS Holdings, ARMH. We've got basically 7.8 million shares at $31.81 on that February 14th high. We've gone above it. We're going to have probably 6-7 million shares. If we get a close back below it, this may be one of the best channeling stocks we have out here, somewhere between 21, 22 bucks and up into this range of 32 bucks. But going to be interesting. And we have a caller, BRCN, and it's Sal from Boston. How you doing today, Sal?
Hello, David. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good. I was listening and watching on online also. It's interesting, like watching you every day, and Tom also in the morning. I have a question for you on Broadcom.
Mm-hmm.
And is it time to buy now, or like possibly this could go up to like around 28.67, something like that low?
I'm short the market. I'm short technology, and I think that we're probably somewhere around the intermediate low. We're probably going to come back up to something like either we're going to probably come down to like 13.95 or something on the S&P. Then we're going to bounce back up to something like 14.28. And that'll set the ABC down to something like 13.50 on the S&P. So the question is, do you want to play the next up leg in what I think is a market that is fairly weak? And I think the answer is probably you want to sit this one out. I'm thinking that trying to depend right now whether or not I cover my shorts and try to reshort at a higher price. But we got pretty much to that 14.22 today, which is resistance, and sold off, which makes me think we have a much better chance going down and probably piercing 1400 and maybe probably 13.95 and probably find some support there shortly. Maybe it's on Apple's earning tonight. But I would suspect if you did want to go long, there's a couple of organic things happening. One is you probably want to wait, since the market is weak, you probably want to wait for fund buying. That's the last 2 days of the month and the first 3 days of the month. So we basically have, you're probably talking about next Tuesday, next Wednesday would be the next logical time where you think you're going to get a move up and maybe have at least some fund buying out there to support you. So you could go maybe next Tuesday through next Friday, potentially long. But remember, this is a weak market. We've seen the The elevator, I'd like to say that the stock market goes up and walks up the stairs but goes down the elevator. Sometimes it just jumps off the roof. We've seen that in a lot of these stocks that have blown off. It's not a bad-looking chart. I don't like the volume yesterday at all. It was way too high. So
what about the instead of like buying a stock now, look at the leaps of January 14, 30 put option, selling put option, and collect 440.
You're probably not too bad. The big winners, the Microsoft tablets coming out, the two big winners for it are going to be Qualcomm and Broadcom. I don't know if you're going to get any kind of pin action on that tomorrow on Broadcom. Qualcomm probably looks the better of the two plays on that. But I would probably watch this thing tomorrow. If you have just a very tiny volume, we go back and test something like $13.95. I might look Monday or Tuesday into that fund buying and see if you see anybody starting to pick this up, start seeing some funds deciding to buy this thing. But right now, you just pretty much have a market that's headed down, and I don't want to be one of those guys catching a falling knife. But one of the things you happen to have is a good time. You're going to get a good signal before the end of the close today, and that is if this thing continues to sell off, we get into Thursday late in the day, then normally, especially in bearish markets or even down markets, the tendency is to go ahead and start selling things off into the Friday close too. So, if you don't have a market recovering right now, generally I'm going to say the odds are 70% or better that you continue to sell off into the Friday close.
I see it. Okay, so wait until like next weekend.
I'm going to say, organically I like things that I know are happening, and I know that funds are going to come in next Tuesday. How strong they're going to come in is the question. So the last 2 days of the month, first 3 days of the month, you have fund buying. So there's probably, if we do make a low, there's probably going to be some support after Monday of next week. And that's when you want to see these things. Potentially the market is hugely short now. I know everybody and their dog has been dying to short this market, and they have absolutely piled on huge. What you get is huge reactions. And if you were going to play something like Broadcom, you got a short squeeze move coming, you might be able to play it during the day or something. But that, if I'm trading, I'm thinking that next Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe you get some funds stepping in. It's the market's so short, maybe not this particular stock, but we're probably going to get some that are going to bounce real well just on short covering.
I see. Okay.
Even stocks like Sears Holding, if you look at that, the stock's like 40% short perennially because they know eventually the company's going out of business. Same thing with some of the other stocks I'm going to talk about next week, the zombie stocks that don't quite know they're dead. They're still moving. Best Buy and some of these other companies like Radio Shack, Sears Holdings have tremendous short interest on them. Everybody's betting that they go out of business. Things like CMG, Chipotle, huge short interest in it. You're going to see wild swings in them. Eventually this thing, they're going to continue to work their way back down, but there's going to be huge intraday movements in these because of the high short interest. But funds are pretty much betting a lot of these stocks have much lower to go right now. So you have to be very careful of what you're doing. But Broadcom, not a bad-looking chart. I don't like the volume yesterday. You might like to see a little bounce and then very, very light volume back into the 3125 area, 3150 area, maybe Monday or Tuesday if you did get a bounce out of it. And if the volume really drops out, something like maybe 4 million shares, 3 million shares or something, that may be a clue that we're going to have a little run. I suspect more likely that we're going to have a continuing sell-off through the end of the year, though.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
Good enough. Anyway, we're looking at ARMS Holdings out here. Again, you can give me a call, 877-927-6648. And look at that. We're probably going to get a bounce out of here, whether it starts on Apple earnings, goes a little higher. But I think we're probably going to see a range somewhere around 1395 up to 1428 on the S&P. And that's going to set up a little congestion zone. And my theory, working theory anyway, is that a lot of traders are expecting capital gains taxes to go up, and they're sitting on some fairly nice wins, and might as well sell and put it in this year's tax season instead of next year's tax season on these bigger wins. And maybe the smaller wins or movements next year maybe are at a higher rate. But we saw a huge move in the early 2000s when the Bush tax cuts, as they're called, came through, and we saw a lot of people hold their stocks, artificially pumping up the market. I think we might see the same thing now. If we saw once we see the election come through, that may change. But I suspect between now and the election, depending on the results, we're going to see people probably, sitting on huge results like Apple. I mean, if you bought the thing at $350, you can still sell it at $600 and make a lot of money and pay probably a whole lot less in taxes. That when we probably looking at those cap gains going up. Depending on who wins the election. I think people are thinking, hey, so what? It goes back up to $700. I'll go ahead and take my money now and pay the lower taxes and know that I'm kind of locked in unless Congress comes back and tries to retroactively raise taxes, and they've done that before. Anyway, ARMS Holdings, that's probably going to be a good indicator tomorrow. Watch that one very closely about what's going on. Avago Technologies. This is, of course, another one of the supply chains in Apple. This thing's making what's known as an asymmetrical triangle. If you just put a big greater than sign on this and draw it in, this thing has pretty much gotten to the end. This thing is going to probably break. The first break is probably going to be to the false. It'll be a false breakout. So this thing goes up, look for it down. If it goes down, look to buy this thing maybe a little bit lower. Another one is the memory company Micron, perpetually getting beat up because of the, especially the lower PC sales means they're actually selling less memory into that market, and they've been fairly low. But when we look at the last two lows here, last major low was June 4th at $5.30. We've gone to a lower low on the 24th. Yesterday with 35 million shares, getting a little bit of bounce back out here, but this certainly looks like it has the opportunity to go back and test the $3.97 low from October 4th. Some of the other ones in the Apple supply chain, another one that's doing one of these asymmetrical triangles where you're going to look at the first move, big move out as a false break. Normally when they go this far and they continually getting tighter and tighter and tighter trading ranges like this one, OmniVision Tech, they make the cameras for Apple and other tablets and cell phones. OVTI, look at this one, it's going to be real tough to get it to break because the volume is continuing to contract. You had a big selling day back here on August 31st with 11 million shares, and since then we're seeing tighter and tighter trading ranges out there. Another good one to watch for tomorrow. Qualcomm, volume on this last leg has not been all that exciting. This thing did have a nice gap up. The volume's about the same. Can't read a lot of clues. I suspect that this is actually headed back to that $53 range, and that would mean that our wonderful caller Sal from Boston on Broadcom would probably want to be watching this Qualcomm chart very, very close before he ever placed a trade on Broadcom. These things are going to trade fairly closely and consistently, but you want to know that both of these are giving pretty much the same signal. $53.09 on that June 17th low out here with 15 million shares. Want to continue to think that we've got this gap. Does the market pop out of here? If it doesn't, I'm thinking we've got $53.09 on Qualcomm as it comes back and retests that original gap that it took off from on when? When was that? I'll have to take a look at it when we come back.
Are you looking for a precision edge in the market? Something that can stack the odds in your favor? Then look into Larry Pesavento's new trading newsletter, Patterns, Profits, and Peace of Mind. In each weekly issue, Larry explains what's going to happen in the markets based on the pattern he sees developing and gives you actionable trade ideas based on those patterns. Plus, you'll get his detailed analysis on a variety of markets and sectors, including stocks, treasury bonds, the gold market, oil, the dollar, the forex market, and more. And you'll get the Technical Corner segment, which is a short but powerful weekly training session on trading. You'll get access to all the patterns Larry is seeing in the markets, plus the Astro Harmonics and powerful Bradley stock market model that Larry utilizes for less than $5 a day. An extremely potent combination that will give you just the edge you've been looking for. Try Patterns, Profits, and Peace of Mind absolutely free for 2 weeks. Go to tfnn.com and click on the free trial link at the top of the page. That's an $85 value, yours free when you register right now. Get Larry's Patterns, Profits, and Peace of Mind and get the edge you've been looking for.
In just December of last year, the price of gold was down over 10%. In today's highly volatile gold market, you need someone in your corner that understands the complex relationships that exist within the price of gold, as well as within a variety of gold equities. Whether it's the South African gold miners and knowing how the Rand-dollar relationship will affect their bottom line, or understanding how John Paulson's $5 billion trade in the GLD can move the market, Tom O'Brien gives you the direction you need to become a better trader each week in his newsletter, The Gold Report. With over 20 individual equities covered and almost another 20 on the potential watch list each week, in addition to covering the XAU, HUI, GLD, and dollar, The Gold Report is a great source for any trader that is looking to be diversified in today's volatile gold market. For your 30-day free trial to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report, log on to tfnn.com today. Don't miss out on this great offer. Act now. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to tfnn.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Let me tell you something, folks. I have people coming up to me saying, I just can't believe the amount of work that Steve does on his newsletter. And I says, I absolutely agree.
That is a recent clip from the Money Masters show that Tom and I do each day at TFNN. My newsletter service, Mastering Probability, is much, much more than a newsletter. Yes, it's outperformed the S&P 500 by 100% during the last 15 months. But more importantly, it's an extraordinary education, a roadmap for your success, and it's yours risk-free for the next 30 days. Just go to the homepage of TFNN.com and click on my name, Steve Rhodes, and then Mastering Probability, because everyone needs a success strategy. For most, it's a competitive edge, the will to win, the drive to overcome any obstacle. Whatever you call it, winners find a way. Find your way to Mastering Probability today, because your journey to extraordinary rewards is just one click away.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at tfnn.com.
We've got about 1411 on the S&P as we speak now, about 2.4 billion shares. I think we came out with about 3.6 billion shares yesterday on consolidated tape. It would be very interesting to see how this closes up. Yesterday, I was predicting about 1408, and that's pretty much where it closed. Normally, you start seeing people get a little bit nervous out here at the close, but I think it's more about Apple. I don't know if I could predict the close today very closely. I'm probably going to say 1408, 1409. again today, and everybody waiting on Apple. A few people probably going to step out just a little early before the end of the day. Tomorrow we're going to be able to really get a much better idea where this market's going temporarily. Apple comes out with good news. We're probably going to come back up to that 1422, 1428, give another chance for everybody to short this market. It is highly short. Watch for some very sharp moves out here if we get some decent numbers for them. I suspect they're just going to come in line or a little bit better, and we're probably going to fade down to that 1395, probably on the close tomorrow, and that may be setting up the lows. Like I said, maybe see a couple of flat days, Monday, Tuesday, start seeing some fun buying with a heavily short interest out here. Could we get a 1-2 day pop, maybe into the end of next week, where you could reshort? I think that's a likely scenario. Unfortunately, a lot of these companies have a huge ability to push around earnings into one quarter and the next. And I think the street probably had a fairly good idea of what Apple was coming out for. So I'm not looking for any big movement in Apple. They could shock us, but I doubt it. Of course, today the rollout for Windows 8 started in earnest and caught up with a little bit of that. You're going to see the $1.5 billion really start hitting tomorrow as the product is available. I've played with the Surface tablet. Pretty neat. I like the keyboard a little bit better than anything that Apple has so far. But still, it is a tablet. It's not a full PC. Someone emailed me, and you also can, at path@tfnn.com. I said, I hate even doing charts on a laptop, much less on a tablet where you've got a big finger to point at things, and that's about it. No keyboard really to speak of. But you've got probably the best thing, and if you're in business, that the RT tablet from Microsoft comes with Office on it. Probably going to be the deciding factor. Yeah, is it going to be $50, $100 more expensive than the tablet from Apple? Yeah, but I'm thinking that if you're in business, that getting the Office suite on there is probably going to be more important. I think it's got the best keyboard for any product. That's still not as good as a laptop keyboard, and certainly not as good as a desktop keyboard. And just know what it is. It's going to be high-end gamers, and it's going to be business. It is Windows. It's not the consumer interface that Apple has of people just sitting back and watching YouTube videos. It's really going after a more sophisticated experience and that business market that Apple really hasn't cracked so well with their PCs or their tablets. Just starting to really move that way with their phones. But I think it's a neat idea that Windows is going to have a phone, a tablet, a laptop, and a PC that all run with a similar interface. Just before we finish up here, the thing that probably worries me the most in Apple earnings is watching TriQuint. They came out last night with earnings. TQNT down fairly extensively today. Looking for these guys to come out and test that low from November 23rd of last year, $3.97, 6.1 million shares. But tomorrow morning, these are the stocks you want to be watching and see how they react to what Apple's doing out here, because I think that's going to be a lot better indication than Apple itself for the long term, not just for the next few hours. Anyway, keep an eye on those. See you tomorrow.